Previously, I survived 100 days in 1.21 Minecraft Hardcore, completing many different things. So today, we're doubling that and surviving 200 days in 1.21 Minecraft Hardcore. Since the game has updated a few times since the last video, I was going to begin these 200 days off by exploring everything else that was added, starting this process by crafting up a bundle, which is essentially the early game shulker box. I then went out and started collecting loads of dye colors, and whilst I was doing this, I also collected a giant salmon since this update brought different fish sizes. And then I ran back home, and on the following day, I went out collecting loads of leather, crafted up some more bundles, and then dyed them all with the colors that I had just collected. Although I don't have all the colors, this was a good start. Now, putting that aside, I was going to spend a couple days collecting many stacks of spruce logs since the spruce trees were massive. Like, look at those things. They're huge. They're massive. I could also turn one log into 4 planks, so this was the easiest way to collect many blocks for a build that I was just about to do. I then went around in the caves in order to collect some redstone since we were building an automatic farm. However, this also ended in me collecting an extra 36 diamond ores, which I mined up using a silk touch pickaxe. I then went through the nether portal in order to start collecting loads of quartz as well. But once I had collected all the quartz, I could return back home, building up a giant pillar using the redstone ore that I had just collected earlier, mining it all up. And besides adding some extra details to the pathways, I went ahead and started building up a mob farm. You all know exactly what I was building up here. I was mainly building this farm up for the gunpowder, because using the gunpowder, I wanted 2 different items, both firework rockets and TNT. I needed the fireworks since I obviously had an elytra, and I needed the TNT so I could blow up netherrack for ancient debris in the nether later on in this world. Eventually, the main part of the farm was complete, and I could move on to building up the roof of the farm using loads of slabs. And once that was done, I built up a redstone clock, which actually ticks off another updated feature in this game. The redstone torch now has a different texture. I then added some water, and the farm was officially complete. Now I could go AFK, and originally I was only going to go AFK for about 20 minutes. However, I accidentally kept my game open for 2.5 hours, so I won't count this time towards the day counter. This just means I can get more stuff done in the video, although technically by the end of this video I would have actually played longer than 200 days, but let's just get back to the video. Well, now that the farm had been completed and I had spent over 2.5 hours AFK, I was able to go back to completing actual tasks, starting with moving some items from the AFK farm storage area into my other storage area, if that makes any sense. And then I spent many days going around flattening a lot of land and making it look a whole lot better. I don't know why I spent so long on this task, but in the end, it looked way better here. So I guess it was kind of worth it. But do you know what else is worth it? Hitting that subscribe button, because I'll be doing a face reveal at 500,000 subscribers. Anyways, back to the video. And now I was going to be crafting up some TNT. You see, the past few days weren't very exciting, so now I wanted to go back to the nether and change that. I went down to the correct Y level and then started using all the TNT that I had just crafted up, mining up all the ancient debris that I would also find. In the end, collecting a total of 16 ancient debris from this mining session. And now back home, I could go ahead and craft up some more fireworks so I could fly around and mine up loads of coal in order to start smelting up all that ancient debris that I just collected. And now, using all that coal, instead of smelting the ancient debris, I actually started cooking up some potatoes. I'm a hungry man, okay? On top of that, using the diamonds that I had collected earlier, I built up a giant tower and started mining it down. Unfortunately, without fortune though. Looking back on this, I definitely should have got the fortune enchant first. I was going to need all these diamonds to duplicate the netherite upgrade template, because I just smelted all my ancient debris and was now ready to upgrade my helmet, leggings, chest plates, and boots to netherite. I then went and collected some more sand to craft up some more TNT, and then returned back to the nether to collect even more ancient debris, which I ended this mining session up with another 14 ancient debris. I could then obviously smelt that, craft up some more netherite ingots, and then I got a new diamond pickaxe and sword. I also decided to save the other netherite ingot for when I got better tools. hills. Now, this next part needs a little backstory. You see, I had a Minecraft hardcore series that I decided to quit since I wasn't having fun in that world, and instead, that world is now being replaced with this one. So I had a cool idea in mind, and that was to rebuild the house that I had in that hardcore series, but in this world. However, I was going to make it a little bigger and better. I started by flattening out loads of land in an area that I chose to build this house. I was going to need loads of flattened space because it would help me build this house up a whole lot easier. And well, now the area had been flattened out, I could begin the very long and tedious task of actually building this structure up. I spent a total of 12 days building up this house, and instead of me yapping over everything, here's a cool building montage. And just like that, the house was complete. Now, to add some more decorations, I continued building out pathways. And after building up the pathways, I came to a realization. It's 4 a.m. Yeah, that build took quite a while. And well, now that the house was complete, the next thing I did was craft up a lectern, and then I flew over to a spruce village because for some reason, I thought you had to be in a spruce village or something to get the mending trade, which doesn't even make sense because first of all, this world doesn't have the changed villager trades yet, and even if it did, I'm pretty sure the mending trade is only obtainable within the swamp villages. But after a while of breaking the lectern and placing it back, I finally got my hands on the mending trade. So, using a couple stacks of emeralds that I brought over from my storage room, I traded for some mending books, and whilst I was flying back home, my elytra broke. Over water, luckily. So, it's kind of great that I managed to get a mending book now. But once I got back home, I chucked the mending enchantment onto my elytra, and then I made my way over to the mob farm that I built up earlier, so I could defeat the mobs for XP. This was the only real idea that I currently had, but it worked, so no complaints for me. I just went around for the rest of the night repairing my elytra. And putting that aside, I also forgot to build up the roof inside of my new house. So I spent a little while collecting materials and then built that up. And on top of all this, I also started to realize how ugly that massive wall of paintings looked. So I spent a few days removing this wall and replacing all the paintings in a better looking way. I was just doing a couple simple tasks that would make this entire area look a whole lot nicer. This also includes me spending a few more days building up a pretty massive pond out the front of my new house for some more decorations as well. But don't worry, although I've been doing a bunch of small tasks, it's almost about time to get back into the interesting stuff, I think. But first, I actually want to complete my collection of colored bundles, getting the light blue, pink, and lime colored bundles. And then I flew over to another fortress because now I was going to be going around defeating loads of wither skeletons. And I'm pretty sure you can guess exactly why I was here for it. Yep, that's right. I now wanted 3 wither skeleton skulls so I could defeat the wither and eventually get a beacon. And honestly, I got these skulls pretty quickly. It only took me about 2 days in total to collect all 3 of the skulls. And now that I had all of those, I went into my strip mine, mined down out another tunnel, and summoned the wither. This was it. I was about to get a beacon in Minecraft Hardcore, finally, after like 148 days. It was also around this time that I realized I had no real easy way of obtaining all the items needed to get a max level beacon right now. So I built up a simple villager trading hall. And I mean really simple. I then crafted up loads of rails and then used these rails in order to transport 2 villagers that I trapped a long time ago into a pit to breed. Now, I may have villagers, but that leads on to another issue arising. What am I supposed to trade with these villagers to get emeralds, to get emerald blocks for the max beacon? Well, the solution I thought of for this was actually just to do a bunch of farming. I crafted and enchanted a brand new diamond axe and hoe, and then I started working on making making a big melon and pumpkin farm. Also going to the nether to collect glowstone to add lighting into this farm as well. But what I didn't realize at the time was that this farm was actually going to be quite useless as it was too far away from my actual base area to grow. But eventually, returning back to the villages, I had noticed something. They didn't breed even though I had given them bread earlier. So to solve this issue, I had to make a few changes to the breeding hole. Unfortunately, these changes weren't too complicated to complete. And on the following day, I collected loads of spruce wood so I could actually replace that ugly villager trading hall that I quickly built up earlier. I then trapped a villager into this trading hall and gave it a composter to turn it into a farmer villager. Though I did have to use some of my emeralds to upgrade the villager so I could unlock the pumpkin and melon traits. And well, after spending some time near the melon and pumpkin farm, I realized that not too many crops were growing. So I went ahead and used some of the bone meal to grow some of the stems of each crop. Hopefully this would speed things up. I then collected some of the crops and traded with the farmer villager for emeralds for the first time in this world. Now realizing that the melon and pumpkin farm wouldn't be good enough, I started working on a potato farm since I could also trade potatoes to the villagers for emeralds as well. So as I would till the ground, plant potatoes, I would then use loads of bones that I gained from the mob farm to actually bone meal all the potatoes to get even more. Though I didn't trade these potatoes away because I actually used this to expand the farm out even further. And actually changing things up a little bit, I went ahead and returned to the melon and pumpkin farm. Though I really didn't get a whole lot from this because it was just too far away to grow. So the main thing that I just focused on for the next couple of days was farming the potatoes in that farm that I had just built up, using bone meal to grow it, and then I would just simply farm it all. But I knew I did not want to simply farm potatoes all the time. I needed multiple sources of emerald income, so I started digging out a massive room underground right next to my base. I then moved some villagers into a trading hall, and then I went back to building up a melon and pumpkin farm in that underground room. Although I did manage to gather a fair amount of blocks for the beacon during this time, I really haven't made too much progress. So I wanted to test out a theory, and that involves going to the nether and using a silk touch pickaxe to mine all the gold ore, since you can smelt those for ingots. So I went around the nether for one entire day in order to see how much gold I was able to get. And the following day, I smelted up all the gold ore and then crafted up all the gold blocks, totaling 16 gold blocks. And obviously, to end the day off, I did some more farming. But this was soon to change. And since we only have about 16 days left in this world for this video, I wanted to get as much stuff done as possible. And my next goal was to actually make as many automatic farms that would help me out in the future. But for that, I needed to collect loads of materials, starting with spruce wood, cobblestone, redstone, quartz, even wool. However, the wool won't be too much of an issue because I have a mob farm that produces string, which can easily be turned into wool. Those are the main materials that I would be needing. But now, I also had an idea, and that was to turn this island into an automatic farm island. But for that, I also wanted to flatten it out. So I spent a few days digging the dirt and flattening out the island. And to start this automatic farm build section off with a bang, I was going to be building one farm twice. Yeah, so now I was going to be building up an automatic melon and pumpkin farm. And let's do something different really quickly. I'm going to quickly become a tutorial YouTube channel. Then you can follow along with building this farm up yourself as well. First, you want to dig out a 10 by 10 hole that is 2 blocks deep. And obviously, I need to do this twice since I am building up 2 different farms. Next, pick a corner and dig out 3 blocks, followed by making a 5-block high staircase. Now, place 2 chests here, followed by replacing this block with the hopper, and then do a little redstone just like this. Once you've done the redstone, place down 7 rails, and then inside the hole that you dug earlier, dig another 2-block deep trench. You want to do that here and here, followed by placing down redstone torches at the bottom. Then cover that trench up, and then place down loads of rails and powered rails. This is going to be your minecart collection system. Now make a border around the farm, fill in the the hole with dirt, till the dirt in this pattern, add the seed of your choice, add some glowstone and glass walls, and now you are almost done with this farm. All you need to do is to add some pistons facing down on top of the dirt block, and then add some observers, followed by some redstone, then boom! You've completed your automatic melon or pumpkin farm. Congratulations to the one person who actually followed along with this tutorial. Alright, moving on to the next farm, I actually want to build up a cobblestone generator thing, considering how much I actually use stone in this world. Wait, I actually use it so much. Wow, I didn't even realize. This farm is a really basic farm to build, so I don't really need to talk about it too much. But just realize this farm is going to be used a lot. And now that farm was complete, I could move on to building up the next one, an automatic iron farm. I was able to build up a fair amount of this farm until I needed villagers. You see, obviously automatic iron farms require villagers, and this one needed 3, which shouldn't be a problem for me. So I made a railway from the farm over to the breeding room, and this is when I realized I only had 3 villagers left, and I didn't want to take all of them out of there. So I had to breed some more villagers before continuing with this farm build. So whilst I waited for that, I went ahead and started building up another farm. This one was going to be a carpet duper. Again, I was able to build up the majority of this farm. That was until I required another item, a coral fan, which surprised absolutely no one I did not have. So I would have to go out and explore looking for a warm ocean and collect some coral. Now, this exploration was going to go way longer than originally thought. Not only would I have to fly around 20,000 blocks to eventually find what I was looking for, I also went around looking for ocean ruin thingos on the way to brush over suspicious sand and gravel in hopes to get the sniffer egg, because I thought that would be cool to have, but that was unsuccessful, and I only ended up getting a trident. Wait, I got a trident! Anyways, skipping over this incredibly long exploration time, eventually I found what I was looking for, and I collected loads of coral fans and then went back home, allowing me to complete the carpet duper. I also experimented with a cool hopper collection and furnace smelting thing, since I could now use the carpet as infinite furnace fuel. But now, we don't have too much longer in this Minecraft world, so I quickly moved over 3 villages into the iron farm, trapped a zombie, and then built up a bunch of the other parts of this farm. I also obviously had to spawn proof this farm as well, so the iron golems would actually spawn inside the farm, and well, that was it. It's now day 208, and since we have technically gone over the day count, what's the matter with going over by a few more days? I went around and collected some clay and green dye so I could make some cyan terracotta in order to make the outline around my massive house I built earlier in this video. You see, the house in my hardcore world was slightly different to the one in this one because I was still yet to make that outline on the roof. But that's it. That's all I did. And after this, we were officially complete. That was 200 days in 1.21 Minecraft Hardcore. Drop a like, subscribe, face reveal at 500,000 subscribers. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.